Assalomu alaykum hammaga, xayrli.
Wait, I said big. I couldn't hear you. I don't think anybody could hear you, actually. Is your mic working? Can anybody hear him? I have no idea. I cannot hear him. Nope. They can hear me, but they can't hear you. Try like leaving and rejoining, I guess. Don't worry, guys. We'll start soon. Still no audio. Hello, guys. Nice to see you. Let me just share my screen.
Xo'p, endi yaxshimi o'zim? Endi eshitilyaptimi?
Ishtiroqda endi.
Bo'ldi. Muammolar uchun ozgina tur. Xo'p, bugungi sessionimizga start beramiz. Bugun marafonimizning 5-kuni. Bugun umuman hech kim bilmagan, hech kim kutmagan Firdavsda sessioni bo'ladi. Chunki hech qayerda ovozi berilmagandi, как syurpriz sifatida qo'ydik bugun. Va bugungi sessionimizda aytaylik eng nima bo'ladi? Admissionda ko'pgina sekretlarni ochadi. Firdavs xudo xolasa, o'shaning uchun hammani yaxshilab eshitish, yaxshilab ko'rishga tavsiya qolaman. Session share qilinmaydi, o'shaning uchun hozir yaxshilab ko'rib, yaxshilab foyda olib qolishlaringizni hammaga maslahat beramiz. Hozir ovozimizni bir tekshirib olish uchun yana muammolar bo'lmasligi uchun oxirgi paytga plus yoki qanaqadir reaksiya qoldirsangiz biz bilib olamiz, shu ovoz yaxshi eshitilayotganligi va mitingni bemalol boshlasak bo'ladi. Hozir men birinchi ovozimni tekshirib ko'ramiz. Agar meniki yaxshi bo'ladigan bo'lsa, keyin Firdavsnikini tekshirib ko'ramiz. Firdavsniki yaxshi bo'ladigan bo'lsa, mitingimizga start beramiz. Давайте kommentga qoldiringizlar qanaqadir belgi, чтобы biza bilishimiz kerak ishlayapti, ishlamayotganligini.
Spesial mikrofon oldim bu dars uchun. O'shanga o'ta xolis ishlaydi.
Gapirgan ba'zi menda internet yaxshi bo'lmasligi mumkin, lekin balki sizda ham yaxshi bo'lmasligi mumkin. Agar men ovozim uzilib kelayotgan bo'lsa, hozir lekin Firdavsnikini tekshirib ko'ramiz. Firdavs gapirib ko'ring-chi.
All right, mic check 1 2 3. Hopefully everything's working. Internet mikrofon hammasi bor. Hammaga eshitilyaptimi? Всем слышно, надеюсь. Ishlayaptimi? Mikrofonimni ozgina baland qismi ham bo'ladi. Hello.
Menda yaxshi eshitilyapti, menda zo'r eshitilyapti.
Ha, bo'ldi.
Yo'q. Chotki. Ishlamayotganligi internet ishlamayotgan bo'lishi mumkin. Internetingizni tekshirib ko'ring. Bizaki yaxshi eshitilyapti, masalan, Firdavs akaniki yaxshi eshitilyapti, masalan.
Manda zadержка bilan ishlayaptimi yo boshqalardanmi?
Yo, menimcha menda zadержка bilan ishlagani uchun sizda ham shunaqa deb o'yladi. Lekin menda sizniki yaxshi eshitilyapti. Ularning internet ishlamayotgan bo'lishi mumkin, lekin sizniki zo'r kelyapti menga.
Ha, unda yaxshi. Unda boshlaymizmi?
Ketdi, xudo xolasa boshlaymiz. Nice.
All right. Hammaga salom. Welcome everybody. Привет всем. Most of the presentation I'll probably be giving in English, but I'm always open to like questions and advice in Russian if you guys want a translation for everything, or if you want to, if you want me to translate, I can always do that. Today, first we're going to be talking a little bit about myself. Then we're going to go into the admissions hacks. Now, just to preface, I want to say something right here, right now. This is not a guide. You're not just by this lecture. Of course, you're not going to get into just any random university. Here today, what I'm giving you guys is sort of ideas, stepping stones, and tips that you can choose to use, or you can choose not to use when you are applying to colleges. Hopefully, they will help out. But again, everybody does it a bit differently. And this is just from my personal experience, what I've seen as helpful when I'm teaching and helping other people out. So with that out of the way, I think it's about time we start. You don't have to remember everything. Even if just 50% of it goes into your ear and stays and the other 50% go out, you should be fine. You should be better than the person who, didn't even tune into this. Anyways, so first of all, I realize a lot of people might not know about me personally, so I think I'll introduce myself. A lot of people do. Maybe they remember me, but it's been a while since I've been back in Tashkent. So first, let's talk about who am I. Well, on the screen, you can see this was me then, about a year and a half ago, before I started college. Now this is me.
Firdavs,
Mm-hmm.
uzr ozgina bezda qildim. Kommentariyada hozir ovoz yaxshi kelmayapti deb bitta qaytadan kirib chiqasizmi?
Okay, let's see. Ovoz endi yaxshi eshitilyaptimi? Tekshirib ko'raylikchi. Sal o'zgartirdim. Bitta ikkita settingni. Qaytadan ham kirishim mumkin. Testing. Hello. Endi eshitilyaptimi? Endi ovoz yaxshi eshitilyaptimi? Uzilib qoldi. Endi zo'r. Okay. My bad, guys. Technical difficulties, they happen. Back to what I was talking about. This is me then. This is me now. Nothing's really changed. Just so you guys know, my name is Firdavs Yakubov. I am from Tashkent, Uzbekistan. I studied at the Academic Lyceum under Westminster International University in Tashkent. Before that, I studied in a couple of different schools in Tashkent also. About me, there are some important facts. Well, to you guys, there's a lot of important things about me, but you guys probably only care about a few things. One, SAT score is up there. My SAT score is a 1580. That is on the digital SAT, the new one that everyone's going to be taking from now on. If nothing has changed, I think that's still the highest score in Uzbekistan. If someone knows, correct me if I'm wrong, but that's like the highest single score, not super score, but like one score on the test. I think that's the highest for the digital SAT. Other than that, a few people may have remembered me from my teaching days. Back when I was in Tashkent, I think I taught for about 1 year, 1.5 years. And I can actually see a lot of my students here today. So thank you for that. Other than that, I like video games, Counter-Strike, basketball, sports, studying. It's a lot of things going on in my life, and happy to have made the time and actually be able to come and talk to you guys. Other than that, I guess I heard some people asking about my IELTS. My IELTS was an 8.5 overall. I don't remember the sub scores. It's been a while since I've taken it. I study at Cornell University, which is Ivy League. I think it's like top 20 this year, maybe tied. Other than that, no. Got 3 amazing sisters, and I think it's now time that we actually start, today's lecture. So I'm gonna keep it short because I'm going to keep it short because we have a lot of speakers, like 20 of them, and I don't want there to be a lot of repeated information. So that's why today what I'm trying to do is give you guys the smaller bits and like the really important bits. Also, some people wanted to know, how's Cornell going? So as you guys know, I started Cornell. I'm a freshman at Cornell, and I just am about to finish my first semester. Today's like the last day of the first semester. And so far, I have to admit, it's been pretty hard, like really hard. College itself is really hard, especially in the US. On the screen on the left side is my current schedule. So I have like classes every day until like usually 2:30, sometimes 3:20. This may not seem like a lot, especially compared to Uzbekistan schools. It's probably not too much, but it's actually a really big amount. And I have to study until like 12 a.m. every single day. This is my schedule for next semester on the right over here, which is 7 courses, again, 22 credits. Just so you understand, the minimum amount of credits is 12 credits. And I'm taking 22. Why? Well, because, you know, college is free for me. So I thought I should take as many classes as I can. But that's about me. That's enough about my life. If you guys are interested, you can always ask questions in the future. Now, I think it's time we go into the hacking time. Here is where I'm going to start speaking a bit more slowly. I'll try and explain things in depth. Maybe I'll incorporate a little Uzbek, a little Russian inside, just so everybody can understand me. But overall, now is when the teaching actually begins. So what hacking the college admissions even means is maximizing your chances at getting accepted to the university with the stats that you have. So let's say you have your portfolio, you have your SAT score, you have everything. Now, how do you maximize that efficiency? How do you get it to be the best possible chances of actually receiving an acceptance letter? So let's take a look at that. The first aspect that we're going to cover of hacking is, of course, SAT. I used to teach SAT. I have a 1580 SAT score. I think I'm in a regular position to actually give you advice on how to hack the SAT. First of all, the most common question that I get for the SAT is, what book do I read? What book do I study from? What textbook do I use? I'm going to give you my definite answer. Don't think it's going to change anytime soon. So for the English section, I'm going to have to recommend Erica Meltzer Reading for the digital, plus the grammar for the digital, also from Erica Meltzer. These 2 books are what I use to study for the SAT and what I always recommend, and it's usually tried, and it usually works. Really good book. Definitely would recommend. It's a lot, so you have to understand that you don't have to use every strategy. You can like pick and choose good, bad strategies however you want, but Erica Meltzer Reading and Grammar, really good, 100% would recommend. For the math section, I'm going to have to go with College Panda Math and pretty much any other math textbook that you want that is SAT related, because the math is really hard to screw up. The math is actually kind of easy, so any textbook should be sufficient for you. Third one, Khan Academy. It is your best friend. I need anyone here who's studying for the SAT to have a Khan Academy account, to be using it daily, to be answering a lot of questions and just abusing it, because it is free. It has probably the best catalog of, lessons, classes, anything that you want on any subject. And you need to remember that it's your best friend, and you always need to be using it at all times. Next, so practice. Practice makes consistency. I didn't write practice makes perfect because, that's debatable. What it does do is it makes consistency. So what I'm trying to say here is you have to practice correctly. If you practice incorrectly, you're going to create bad habits, and those bad habits are going to stick with you. It's going to stay, and that's why whenever you're practicing, you need to make sure that you're practicing correctly. you're practicing the right things so that you don't have any bad habits and all your habits are going to be good habits. So before you start practicing a lot, you want to make sure, is this how I want to practice? Is this what I want to be practicing? How should I be practicing it? You want to have the good habits stay with you, not the bad ones. Because if you practice a lot incorrectly, then you're just going to end up in a worse position than if you hadn't practiced at all. Now, just for like the simpler tips for the English section, you kind of want to start from the end, like start from the last question and work your way to the front. Again, that's up to personal preference, but I found that's really helpful because the questions at the end are going to be very easy. They're going to be pretty easy. But the questions at the beginning, they're the harder ones. So if you can get through the easy ones first and then focus on the hard ones, you're sort of maximizing your knowledge right there. You're using your brain to just like answer the ones that you can get correct 99% of the time. And you're saving the harder ones for the end so that even if you do get them wrong, it's okay. You didn't spend a lot of time. At least you got to maximize what you have. If you are going for a perfect score, like 700 plus, then you need to answer the hard questions correctly. But if you're just looking to maximize your score, you should just start from the end, work your way back from there. Other than that, for the math section, you want to know your calculator. You have this new type of calculator that is sort of similar to Desmos. And the amazing thing is that it can pretty much do anything. Your calculator is something like this. So for example, you can have equation x squared plus 5x, is equal to 7. Well, I think I need to write with small x. And what your calculator can do is it can give you the answers. If you just click on this point, negative 6.14, you see? And if you look at this point, 1.14. You want to be able to use this calculator for anything, for trigonometry, for solving algebraic equations, for just doing random calculations like 17 divided by 45. And it'll give you the answer right here in the form of a decimal. You got to understand everything. You got to go into the settings, see what you can change, go into the keyboard, go into functions. As you can see, it has so many different functions, and you got to understand which ones are useful to you and how to use them on the actual SAT. Because for the math section, now you can use your calculator on any question. So that's about it. Let's see if you... I'll speed through the last ones. You want to learn all the topics before practicing everything. That means that you don't want to use up all of your practice tests before learning everything. It's good to save a lot of the practice tests for after you learned everything so that you can use it more efficiently. So the plan that you might want to have is like you study one topic, you practice that topic, study one topic, practice another topic, and then at the end, once you've gone through all of the topics, then you can just, go back and study for everything together. Also, I think I should mention that everybody solves the questions. Everybody practices differently. So try new things. That's very, very important. You want to try new things and see what works for you. And in order to try new things, you need a lot of time. So I'd recommend you start early. Try different methods of solving, try different methods of practicing, and see which one works for you. And then you can just use that in order to get a good score. Also, very, very, very important, you want to not send your SAT score to the university if it's too low. So let's say, for example, you want to apply to Harvard. Let's take a look at the Harvard average, I cannot type, SAT score. Well, the average SAT score for Harvard is 1520. Now, hopefully, everybody here will get, an amazing score, 1520 plus, but let's be honest, that's not the truth of it. Let's say that you have a 1380 SAT score, right? If you have a 1380 SAT score and you want to apply to Harvard, chances are you don't want to send the score, because if you send the score, then you will be bringing down the average of Harvard to a lower standard. And they rarely accept people who have 1380 SAT scores unless they're rich. So what you want to do is you want to see, is my SAT close to the average of the university? If it is close to the average, then you can send it. It's fine. And there's no problem. You're not going to change anything. However, if your SAT is significantly lower than the average for that university, you don't want to send it to that university, because that just leaves an aura of mysteriousness, and they're not going to see that you have a low SAT score. Instead, they're going to shift the weight of the SAT to your other parts of your application, and it's not going to negatively affect you. It's not going to positively affect you, but it's also going to remove the negative effects of saying, oh, wow, he has a low SAT score. We don't want to accept him. He's going to bring our average down. Instead, they're going to look at your extracurriculars, essays, things like that. So yeah, that's probably one of the more important tips for, just SAT, making sure you know who to send it to. And right now, I'm not really explaining all the details. That is up to you to research, to just remember, hey, okay, don't send if it's too low. When do I send? You want to be able to figure those things out yourself. I'm just telling you that, hey, that's an option. You got to remember. All right. That was SAT. Hopefully everybody was fine with that. Gonna check the comments, see if anybody is saying anything. Okay. If you guys have any questions, I'm also looking at the comments, and I can answer them every now and then once I finish a slide. Oh, yeah. Now we're going to be hacking the essays. For the essays, probably the most important part of your application. They're what shows who you are as a person, and you're probably going to spend the second most amount of time on your essays. I think the first, most people spend their time on the SAT, but the second most time has to be spent on the essays, or else you're going to have a worse chance. You want to make sure that you spend time on your essays. So because you're going to be spending a lot of time on your essays, the first tip that I have for you guys is to start as early as possible. You want to get on the grind already, and you want to start writing your rough drafts just so you have a lot of time for the future and are able to revise and edit however you need to. Okay, point number 2, probably most important. Please listen. Every single day, I have people messaging me. Mr. Firdavs, essayimga bitta qaror olasizmi? Personal statement o'qib chiqa olasizmi? Feedback bera olasizmi? Supplemental yozuvdim, o'shanga qaror olasizmi? Iltimos. And every single time that I read the essay and I give the feedback, they all have the exact same problem. It's not even funny. The problem that they have is show, don't tell. Very important. What a lot of people like to do when they're writing essays and they're talking about themselves, right? What they do is they just state the fact about themselves. So they would write, I am a determined and hardworking student. I'm going to do this. I'm going to do that. This is who I am. This is what I'm going to do. However, that is telling them something. That's not showing them. Whenever you're trying to write a personal essay, especially a college essay, you don't want to just tell them stuff outright, because that's not engaging. They're not going to be engaged. They're not going to want to read your essay more if you just outright tell them those things. Instead, what you want to do is you want to illustrate this trait. So tasvirlab bermoqchisiz. Siz aytishingiz kerak emas, men shunaqa odamman, yaxshi odamman, trudolюбный, harakat qilishni yaxshi ko'raman. Tasvirlab berishingiz kerak o'shani. How are you going to illustrate that? You need to tell a story or an experience. O'zingizni hayotingizda bo'lgan narsani olib, o'shani qanaqadir bog'lash kerak to the fact that you are a hardworking and determined student. You got to have a story, you have an experience, and that experience should show the fact that you are determined and a hard worker. So very, very important. If you're going to be writing an essay, you need to always remember to show, not tell. To not just say something, you need to show it by recounting a story or experience where your determination and hard work were evident. Of course, the traits that I'm talking about are going to be different for everyone, but very important. Don't forget. And if I see another essay that has this problem, just not even going to look at it anymore. Also, the second most common problem that I have is people who only show. I know that sounds weird, but you need to remember that you have to talk about yourself. What a lot of people do is they write a story or they write an experience, but they don't reflect on it. The entire point of the essay, in my opinion, some people wouldn't agree, in my opinion, is you are trying to convince the person reading the essay to accept you into their university, if you think about it. So in order to convince them, you need to talk about yourself in a good light. You need to talk about what you've learned, how you've grown as a person, how you've changed, and how you are going to positively affect the atmosphere that you are going to be in. What a lot of people do is they write a story. It's just, you're just telling me this is what happened, but you forget to talk about yourself. A lot of people talk about other things, but they don't talk about you. The entire essay is about you. Nobody else. They don't care about anybody else. They're trying to see if they want to accept you, not anybody else, not your experiences. So you need to make sure that you talk about yourself in a good way, not bragging, but just in a good way. And also try and convince them to accept you. Give them reasons that they should accept you to their university. Don't just give a story and say, no, it's a story. It's good writing. That's not going to cut it. You have to talk about yourself. You have to, give them reasons to accept you. It's the 21st century. I have to talk about online resources. I want you guys to be using online resources all the time, but I also want you to use them wisely. Don't use them too much. Know when to use them. Use them for inspiration. Never copy off an online resource. That's stupid. Millions of people are looking at the exact same resource as you. So don't do it. But it's really, really, really helpful. I looked at a lot of online resources, past essays, people explaining how to write an essay. And I used it in my essays. And it really gives you an idea of what you should be writing. Some examples are College Vine, College Essay Advisors, and Next Admit. I probably use College Essay Advisors a lot. And what you're going to be doing is, say, for example, you're applying to Cornell University, right? And Cornell University has supplemental essays. So you would say Cornell University, supplemental essays. And so you see how this first thing is College Essay Advisors. You would go in and they would explain the prompt to you. So this would be the prompt. And here they're explaining what they want from you and how you could write it. This is very, very helpful if you don't know where to start, or if you do know where to start and you're just having trouble writing it. So here they're saying, admissions wants to know what has made you into the person you are today. Start by thinking about the kinds of experiences you had and the communities you've been a part of thus far. Resources like these can help you out with your essays. 100% would recommend. And usually they give good advice, because why would they give bad advice? They're trying to get you to buy their services. So use their free services. Don't use the paid ones, usually a scam. And write it yourself and just use them, but don't overuse them. Next Admit and College Essay Guy are also really good services. And College Vine. College Vine is also really good. Okay. I don't know how much time has passed. I don't know how long I should be speaking. I'm just going to, speak however long I want, I guess. Oh, yeah. Optional means required. Self-explanatory. If there's an optional essay, write it. your chances are already not good, even if it raises your chances by 0.1%. Just write the essay. Even if it says it's optional, just write it. It's not going to hurt. Unless you think that it's going to hurt and you like know it's going to be bad, please write the optional essay, because it just shows that you actually care, you're willing to put in effort, and it shows you in a better light, to be honest. And of course, at the end, show off your skills, show off your talents, show off whatever you have, your passion, but don't brag. Nobody likes bragging. Nobody likes someone stuck up. I don't know. Get off your high horse and just like, you can show off, but don't take it too far. Don't brag. And these are like the smaller tips for essay writing. Of course, there's like a general outline of how you're going to write, but I think someone else might explain that. I just want to give you guys the hacks, the tips, the smaller things that you can incorporate while you're using these big ideas in your essays. All right. So we're done with SAT and essay tips. While you guys can look at that, I'm going to go into the comments, see if anyone has any questions. Possible questions so far on... Okay, what are some examples of showing off? So let's say that you did something really good, right? You won a competition, and that competition meant a lot to you. Showing off is writing your experience about that competition, writing how it was really important to you, how it was really great, and what you learned from that competition. That's showing off. Bragging is saying, I won this competition. I know that I'm better than everybody. I have reached the peak of knowledge. No one can stop me. That is showing off. I mean, bragging. Showing off is just showing it to everybody. Okay. Let's see if we have any other questions. On your essays, extracurriculars are what? No. Essays are not for your extracurriculars. You want to add more information about you. If who you are as a person is just your extracurriculars, that's sad. You want to be adding personal depth, not just school, not just extracurriculars. You want to keep them away. That's a separate section for a different reason. I personally am against writing about your extracurriculars. You can incorporate them as details. You can talk about them. I'm not saying don't talk about them, but do not write your essay about your extracurricular. That is something that just shows that you're pretty shallow, and it's just frowned upon generally, because that's a different section. You want to give them the whole picture of who you are as a person, and hopefully the whole picture is just not your extracurriculars. There are some personal questions that I'll answer later. Later I'll answer them. But for now, I'm going to answer like related questions, like essay related questions and SAT related questions. Oh, what was my personal essay about? My personal essay was about moving from the US to Uzbekistan, adapting. Very cliche, but it's also fine to write about cliche topics if you think you can write it very well. If you write it very well, then sort of overused banalные темы, you can make them look good. Like, it's just write whatever you want at the end of the day. So I wrote about moving, adaptation, and even though everybody writes about it, I still got accepted because I guess I just, if you write about it well, then you can still stand out even though everybody writes it. All right. Hopefully nobody's getting bored yet. Next up, Common App tips. Also very important. A lot of people don't know about these things. Maybe they do, maybe they don't. Not sure. First things first, hopefully everybody knows about this one. I want to make sure that you guys are not constraining yourself to just Common App. The Common App has a maximum of 20 universities. You can have more, You don't have to restrict yourself to 20. There is Coalition App. There are the universities' specific portals, application portals on their website. You can apply to them individually. It's kind of annoying, but just know that's always an option. I generally don't recommend to apply to a million universities. A lot of people apply to a million universities. They get accepted into like 10, but they don't go to anyone because they didn't get enough financial aid. I don't recommend that, but just know that you can always apply to more than 20 in case you do start early and you do have a lot of time using these resources. Another common application tip is to have an Excel sheet with deadlines and requirements. I'm going to use a good friend's but college application sheet to show you guys as an example. Let's see. So, here is an example of a really good college list. So on the left, you have just the college itself, and as categories and as like certain criteria, you also have different things. For example, the type of college, if you've applied or not, do they give CSS profile wager, their ranking, the safety or match or reach, application cycle, regular decision, early decision, region, minimum wage, wherever you're working, which is really important if you want to work on campus, the acceptance rate, undergrad side. These are all small but important bits of information to know where you want to apply to. And you can add whatever you want at the end. And if you have a good college list, then you will be applying to good colleges that give good financial aid, that have high acceptance rates. And you're just going to overall maximize the chances of ending up in the US. Because if you do your research, if you find which colleges are good, which ones give good financial aid, which ones have high acceptance rates, then, you can apply to more colleges and hopefully end up somewhere. You don't have to end up in your dream school, but you have to end up somewhere, don't you? So definitely would recommend to have a nice looking college list, because that's really important. And you want to just like keep it full and actively update it as you go. Another part is deadlines is also something that you would want here. Anyways, back to the tips. Let's see. Insert. View slideshow. Also, another really important hack is to demonstrate interest. What you can do is you want to be writing, what you can do, you don't have to be doing it, but what you can do is be writing emails, joining webinars, talking to alumni from that university. And what this does is it demonstrates interest. It shows the university you're interested in applying and that you want to be accepted. Again, this is like a lot of universities don't actually take into account demonstrated interest anymore, but I still feel like there's a chance that they do look at who's actually asking them questions, who is showing interest in the universities, and hey, sizden işler ketmedi, 5 minut vaqt ketgandir sürede, but maybe it'll increase your chances of actually, getting into the university. So you want to demonstrate interest, talk to people there, emails. Don't ask stupid questions. If you ask a stupid question in an email, there's a chance that they're just going to say, we're not accepting this dude. Ask good questions. Attend the webinars, listen, try and get people's contacts. And maybe, just maybe, one of the best things you can do is get a recommendation letter from an alumni. If you can somehow meet someone who's gone to that university, or if you know someone who has gone to that university, you want to try and get a recommendation letter. Recommendation letters from people that go to the university, very, very good. You know how I know this? I've talked to people in Cornell admissions, and they've said that, one of the best recommendation letters that you can get, except from like the president of your country, is an alumni recommendation letter. They really value those. If you can get them, very good job. If you can't, well, it's okay. It's not something that a lot of people actually know about. It's not something that a lot of people can get. Very hard to get a recommendation letter, but still try anyways. Also, get fee waivers. Applying to colleges is pretty expensive. It's not cheap. You want to be able to minimize the cost for yourself. Even if they say we don't give fee waivers, or if you don't know how to get a fee waiver, if it's not online, just email the university. Hey, at NYU, I was applying and I had my CSS profile that I wanted to submit, and I was wondering if you guys had fee waivers because I'm from Uzbekistan. We don't have a lot of money here. Our income is a lot lower compared to other countries. So do you think that you guys could provide a fee waiver so that I wouldn't be financially burdened? And then 99% of the time, they're going to give you it. They're not going to say, they're going to say, okay, sure, here's your fee waiver. And you can save hundreds of dollars just by emailing the university. Can I send my SAT score through my counselor so that you don't have to pay money to send your SAT score? You can ask, hey, can I submit the CSS profile with your fee waiver code? And then they'll say, yeah, sure. And then you save money. That's it. Simple as that. Even if you don't get accepted, this is just like saving you money. I'm making you money right here. Call me. Okay, no, I'm not going to say that. Also, a lot of people ask me this insane question. Financial aid, right? Financial aid. They say, neçpul yozi. Manda neçpul bordo yozi. What do you mean? Neçpulin bose, shunchu yoz. That's the entire idea. Write whatever money you have if you want to get good financial aid. Here's the logic. Listen up. Everybody listen carefully. Let's say you lied on your financial aid. Don't do that. But let's say you lied, right? And you said you have more money than you actually have. And then you get accepted. And because you're going to have a tiny financial aid package. And if you have a tiny financial aid package and you don't have the funds to go to college, congratulations, you have an acceptance, but you're not going to be able to go because you cannot afford college. If you say, manda kamera pul bar, because you want a full ride, let's say manda kamera pul bar, everybody knows if you say that you have less money, your chances are a bit less because these universities, most of them, are need aware. То есть ko'rishadi, necha pul so'rayapsiz bizdan, o'shanga qarab acceptance'ni o'zgartirish mumkin. So if you say you have less money, you have less chances. If you say you have more money, then if you get in, you're not going to be able to go. The optimal amount to choose is whatever you can afford. Qancha pul toparsiz, qancha pul qancha sarflashga tayyor bo'lsangiz, shuncha yozish kerak to maximize your chances at getting in, and if you do get in, to actually being able to go. So hopefully nobody's going to ask that question from me anymore. Also, this is kind of confusing, but what you can do is you can apply, edit your Common App, apply again, edit your Common App. So let's say, for example, where is it? Let's say here, right? So I have my Cornell University application, and I also have my Common App. So let's say for writing, for my personal essay, so I have this personal essay right here. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to apply to Cornell with that personal essay. So I go into review and submit, and then I submit my application only for Cornell. Then technically you could go into Common App. You could go into writing. You can change your essay, like write something completely different. You can go into my colleges, college search. Let's say I want to apply to Aberystwyth University. You can go in and you can just apply with that different essay. This applies to pretty much anything: education, family. I don't know why you're going to be changing your family between, applications or your activities, but it's possible. You can do it. Don't do it too much. That's weird because you're going to forget what did you write for what university. And if you accidentally mess something up, you have zero chance of getting into that university. But just be aware, it is possible. You can do it. There are some things you can't change after you've applied, like your recommendation letters. Once you actually submit recommendation letter, I don't think you can change it. Correct me if I'm wrong. But for your Common App, you can apply, edit to specific universities. You can change your application to suit a single university better. I think this is allowed. Someone's going to have to check me on that. Use this carefully. This is not legal advice, but just be aware that you can do this. Also, be honest and tell me if you did know you can do this. I don't know if a lot of people actually knew that you could do this, but that's what you can do. Also, sorry. The last part is most universities ask for a resume, high school resume. It's good if you submit it. If you have a resume, submit it. If you don't have a resume, make the resume look really, really good. Resume is very, very underrated. If you have a good looking resume, amazing chances. I didn't submit a resume because I applied a bit late. I didn't have time to write and create a resume for myself. But I know by talking to people that resumes are really good and they can improve your application by a lot. If it's a bad resume, it can actually negatively affect it. But that's why I'm telling you guys to have a resume and have a good one and use it if you can. But again, you don't have to. It's not mandatory. Yeah, that's what we got for the common application tips. I think I have oh God, I have a couple more slides. I'm going to have to zoom through these things. Let's see what questions you guys have. Can I apply for financial aid again if I already received a lower scholarship? You can apply for financial aid again if your circumstances have changed. Something bad happens, then you can reapply for financial aid. But you would need proof of that. And prostatak financial aid. Prostatak, nobody's going to let you apply for financial aid again. They've spent the time to check how much money you need. They're not going to redo your financial aid just because you asked. So no, you can't edit your financial aid and then change it at the end. Sadly, it's not how it works. Hotel school in Cornell. It's funny. It's really cool. On Fridays, you have to wear a suit. It's pretty good. It's pretty good school. Do I have a college application course? Used to, don't anymore. Just internet. The internet has everything that you need. I don't just use the internet. Use your resources. YouTube videos. Can you teach how to prepare the resume? No, don't have the time for that. How do we get a rec from an alumni? It's a good question. Talk to them, get to know them. Usually you have to do something for them, like internship. But sometimes if the alumni is a family friend, if they're a friend or you know them personally, you can just ask, hey, can you write a recommendation letter for me as a peer or something? How would talking with alumni help you to gain more change to get into? Could I send my college list? Nah, my college list is out of date, and I'm applying to different colleges than you guys. Do they care about the advanced words used in the essays? or the vocabulary isn't important. So they don't care about the vocabulary as much as they do in IELTS. In IELTS, they care a lot about the vocabulary. In the SAT, it's not it's not SAT, I'm sorry. College applications, no, they don't care about it too much. What they care about is who you are as a person. They care about how you're describing yourself. You need to show that you have good English, but you don't have to try and add humongous words in there. You can keep it simple. As long as it's a good essay, you can write a good essay without huge vocabulary words, but as long as it's a good essay and you convince them that they should accept you, then it's good. But if you know how to use like vocabulary words, then go for it. But it's not as important as it is in IELTS, and you don't have to force yourself to use vocabulary words. SAT siz ham 100% scholarship olsa bo'ladimi? Ha, olsa bo'ladi. Ko'p o'rtoqlarim 100% scholarship olgan, SAT siz yaxshi universitetga kirib. Do I need to get SAT if I want to study in medicine field? Любой fieldga SAT shart emas. You can apply to any college without SAT. No, 99% of them. How much time does it take to prepare for SAT to get 1500? No malum. Could be 6 months, could be 1 year, could be never. Can you share my personal essays and extracurricular activities? No, I'm not sharing that. All right, I think I've looked at a lot of the questions. There's more, but maybe I'll look at them later. Also, like, if anybody knows the answer to the questions that your friends are asking, feel free to share. I wonder how many people we have. I can't check. Anyways. All right. Next, Common App profile section. We're going to speed through this, so, be prepared. Languages. Most people here probably should have at least 3 languages. O'zbek tili, English tili, Rus tili. Or living in Uzbekistan. You probably know 3 languages. Even if you know just the basics, 3 languages is the minimum. English tilini o'rgatishadi. O'zbek tili, O'zbekistondamiz, Rus tilini o'rgatishadi. And then on top of that, hamma maktabda yana bitta til o'rgatadi. For me, it was nemis tili. It was German. So you have like 4 languages automatically if you study in school. Study in school. Learn the languages. O'zbek tili, English tili, Rus tili, nemis tili, or Fransuz tili, or whatever. You want the languages. The languages are really good. People that know more languages tend to be smarter. So make sure that, you're studying in school and you learn the languages so you can say on your Common App, I know 4 languages. Also, everybody should be trying to get a fee waiver. A fee waiver makes the entire application free, and you want to say yes to this part that says, do you meet one or more of the Common App fee waiver eligibility criteria? And your criteria is you can provide a supporting statement from a school official, college access counselor, financial aid officer, or community leader. This means that your counselor, your school counselor, will help you get a fee waiver. I'm not going to explain that in depth, but research on fee waiver from college counselor and make sure you guys are not paying to apply to college, because that's expensive as hell. There are like millionaires in the US and they pay for college. We are millionaires in som, not dollars. So make sure that you aren't paying for that. Get the fee waivers. Education section is something very important. A lot of people here have probably changed high schools. High schools, I'm counting as 8, 9, 10, 11 sinf. 8 sinfdan 11 sinfgacha maktab o'zgartirgan bo'lsanglar, if you change schools from 8th to 11th grade, they're going to ask you a question. Why did you leave the school? This is very important. Write a lot. Do not say, no, boshqa yoqqa ko'chib ketdi, o'shanga maktabimni o'zgartirdim. You can say that, but it's really basic. Instead, what you want to do is you want to give them reason to accept you. So what I said was like, Mama maktabda o'qiyotgandim, lekin it was getting a bit too easy. The education wasn't really good, and I was starting to like get not smarter. I wasn't really learning a lot of things. And so because I was motivated to get a good education, I decided to apply to the academic lyceum under this. So where most people would say, oh, I changed schools because I got accepted into a better lyceum. No, you got to say, I was studying in the school. I was getting good grades. Things were doing good. I was learning, but then the quality of education dropped. I started to get ahead and I needed a bigger challenge. I wanted to challenge myself. And so I moved to a different school. There's a huge difference between those two. And trust me, they're going to notice it. So you want to write the full truth of why you changed schools and make sure that you use a lot of the words. I wrote like a 205-word essay, just like why I switched schools. Most people here that I know, they just wrote like 2 sentences. So make sure that, you're actually explaining that very important, underrated topic. It's an underrated part of the application. A lot of people don't notice it. Also, whenever you're writing your courses, math is usually going to be advanced for us. Even if you go to a public school, our math is advanced. So you want to write it as advanced. It's not normal. It's definitely advanced. The other classes, so English is advanced, math is advanced, algebra and geometry. The other classes usually aren't, unless you study at like a, private school. But on the, государственный мектепке boradigan bo'lsanglar, algebra, geometry ko'pincha advanced bo'ladi bizda 99.9% of the time, because we study a lot. We study a lot compared to the Americans. Tak, honors. Whenever you're writing honors, you want to save space and use all the space that you have. So here you can notice that I'm not using punctuations. I'm not using any extra spaces. I'm not using any extra words. And I'm using all of my words. This is literally the maximum amount of words you can write. This is like 50 words, not 50 words, but like 50 characters or something. I literally use the maximum amount for my honors. You need to remove extra words. Instead of doing punctuation, you can just do a space, like an enter, and just write on a different line instead of using a period or instead of using a comma. And that will save you space. That will not count as a character. So like you can use things like this in order to fit more information into your honors. Also very important. You can use simple abbreviations like first or like second. You can't use abbreviations like, let's say, you can say MUN, I think. Wait, yeah, because it's like Model United Nations. Everybody knows. But you can't say TIMUN. Like say you're talking about Tashkent International MUN, because they don't know what TIMUN is. So that's like, this is an abbreviation that you can't use. And this is an abbreviation that you can use. So you want to use abbreviations wisely so that they will know what you're talking about, but also make sure that it's not something that they don't know. And so you want to save your space and also combine your honors when you can. So here I was talking about Uzbekistan National Olympiad, and what some people do is like har bitta olimpiadaga separate honors qiladi, but I just combine them. So I said Uzbekistan National Olympiad. I got first place in the regional for English, third place in the national, and for Uzbek in the school, I got second. I combined all of my Olympiads into one so that I can add more things to my honors. Saving space, using space efficiently. Yeah, that's about it. Now let me see if anybody has questions. Let me check. Can I give an alumni rec? I'm not an alumni. An alumni is someone who's graduated from the university. A recommendation letter from me wouldn't be worth anything, especially if I fail. If I fail college, it's going to be bad. Is it okay to write about athletic achievements in the honors section? Of course it is. 100% okay. If you won like a tournament, a really big tournament, like let's say you went to like WKO, World Karate Organization, and you won, then you can actually you can write about that. Or football. If you're like a good football player and you went to like, I don't know, if you're part of the Bunyatkar Terma Jamasa, then you can write about that. Should we submit a resume only if the university asks for it? If they don't ask for it, you can't submit. If you can submit, then you want to submit it. I am not failing in Cornell. I'm saying if I do fail, then you don't want it. Do they ask about your legal document of Olympiada result? I know what this question is asking. Don't lie. Do not lie on your honors section. Doesn't matter if they ask for a legal document or not. Don't lie. Never, ever. That's just not ethical. But usually they don't. Let's see. Can I share my essay why I have changed my school? Nah. I explained to you guys like what you should be writing about. The rest is like, you can do that yourself. What can I have my portfolio? How should my portfolio look like? Well, internet. You can just like search portfolio, see how other people's looks like. I'm not sure about that. I haven't looked at a lot of people's portfolios. Cool. I think we're done. All right. Hopefully nobody's bored. Moving on to activities. Activities, the same advice as honors. Honors, I forgot. Use numbers. Very important. Just to like quantify. You want to be using numbers. You don't want to be using ideas and like things. You want to talk about numbers. You want to quantify. What did you do? How good are you at this thing? First place, second place, third place, 100 events, how many trophies? Use numbers. This is also very, 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 very important in extracurriculars. You want to be using numbers that show how big your project was. You want to explain what you did. You want to explain the significance. You want to use your space wisely, just like you did in your honors. How to get activities. Just follow your passions. Do whatever you're interested in. And be aware of what's happening in and out of school. It's like, you gotta be aware. You gotta know what's going on and like try to get to things. Nobody's gonna like give them to you. You gotta get it yourself. So yeah, you want to save space. See how I have like 0 punctuation here? Grammatically incorrect, but that's not the point. The point is like showing what you were doing, showing off your extracurriculars. So you want to do that. Also here, as you can see, I'm using numbers. Founded writing app with 200 plus users and 1,000 plus posts. You got to give context. You can't just say, I made a writing app. You can't. You got to say like 200 users, 1,000 posts. And then you got to show their responsibilities. I handled internal affairs and the publishing of the app. Also, I was head of operational functions and regular maintenance. So I'm checking off all the boxes. I have numbers. I'm explaining how it's significant, and I'm using space wisely, and I'm writing about my responsibilities. That's what you got to do whenever you're writing about your extracurriculars. So for my internship, I said prepared financial reports for large Uzbek companies. I observed client meetings and shadowed staff members and actively sought to do something. I don't remember exactly what's written there. You also want to include any accomplishments of the organization. So let's say I was a part of a club and that club got an award. You want to write that award for that club and like share what kind of accomplishments that you actually have with that extracurricular. That's very important. So for example, here, the accomplishment for our organization when I taught SAT, which was my extracurricular, is that we improved scores up to like 50 and 30. Well, I think it's higher at this point. We've had higher SAT scores, but when I applied, our highest SAT score from a student was 50 and 30. And so you got to write accomplishments of the organization that you're a part of. You don't need 10 extracurriculars. I only wrote 9. If you don't have 10, that's completely fine. Also, don't write 2 extracurriculars. That's too little. You want to have like more than 5, less than 11. If you have 10, write 10, but don't just force 10 extracurriculars. Write the good ones, and if something is bad, don't write it. You don't need to write everything. Cracking my neck. Also, don't lie. It's not worth it. But also make it sound as important as it is. Follow the instructions that they gave you. So like, even if something wasn't that big, like for us, the app wasn't really big. 200 users isn't that much if you think about it. Like, that's like half a school. And 1,000 posts, if 10 people write, well, if 100 people write 10 posts, that's like 1,000 posts already. So it's essentially not too many posts. And so this project wasn't really that huge. It wasn't like grandiose. It's not like a popular app. It's just a regular app. But you can still make it sound really popular. It's like 200 plus users, 1,000 plus posts. There was probably like 1,001 and like 205 users. But you can make it sound big. Not by lying, by telling the truth, but telling the truth in the right way. Also, like handling internal affairs. It was a group of like 5 kids. They're like not a lot of internal affairs, but I still handled them. Anyways, that's about it. You want to save space, use numbers, explain what you did, the significance, and also you can look at online resources like how to explain extracurriculars. Let me check. Let's see, we got some questions. What do you mean by numbers? Cifri, sonlar. Use numbers. Like, explain what you did in numbers terms. Like, don't say, actually, I think I didn't do it either. So like, what I should have said is like, instead of prepared financial reports for large Uzbek companies, I should have said prepared, X financial reports for X large Uzbek companies. I should have done that. Instead of just saying you did this, instead explain what you did, but the scale, like how many did you do it for? That's what I mean by numbers. How can I add numbers to my internships? I just showed you how to do it. I took my internship and I just added numbers, basically. What would I recommend writing in the additional information section? We'll get to that. Patience. Can I write about what did I learn? Yeah, you can do that. I wrote that too. Chess Olympiad, yes, you can write. What if there's not a level of advanced of a course in the transcript? Still advanced anyways. If it's math, it's usually advanced, even if it's not written. Let's see. MBA haqida gapiring, please. I have no idea about masters. So I'm an undergrad. I wouldn't know. All right. Next, we have the writing section. All right. Some people are not going to like this. The IB kids are not going to like this. They know who I'm talking to. But in the writing section, there's this space that you can use to provide any additional information and write everything. I wrote 542 words just of additional information talking about, I just talked about circumstances and qualifications that are not reflected in the application. Because this is Uzbekistan, they don't understand a lot about our education system, our culture, our schools, our grades. You have to explain it to them. It's really important. If you can explain it to them, they're going to be like, oh, now I understand more about it. That's a really helpful explanation. This person is like really good. And so you want to explain certain things. So, for example, in the US, there are 12 grades. In Uzbekistan, there are 11. So what I'm doing is I wrote in Uzbekistan education is from 1st to 11th. There is no high school definition. So I took each high school grade in the US and assigned a coordinating Uzbek year. So US 9th grade is Uzbek 8th, 10th is 9th, etc., etc. And I explained what a lyceum is. Nobody knows what a lyceum is here. So in lyceum, there are no grades, only levels. My lyceum lasts for the last 2 years. What the hell? I wrote college? Oops. That should be high school. But anyways, I explained that in, lyceum, we have levels, not really grades. Like, birinci yıl, ikinci yıl, it's not really 11. 12. sınıf or 10. 11. sınıf. So here I'm explaining my grades to the admissions officers, just so that, they know. Also, here I'm explaining that, there are no such thing as credits in Uzbekistan. So there are hours, but there's no such thing as a weighted or unweighted GPA. That's just Uzbekistan'da yoğun narsa. And I'm explaining, we don't have that here. So just know that we don't have it. Also, here you can talk about how hard your courses are. So here I'm talking about how the standard level, which is IB Programa, that costs $27,000 in Tashkent International School, it has 75 hours of physics, brilde. But in 10th grade, so bizi de 10. sınıfta, fizikadan 136 saat ders ötüldü. So we had, in 1 year, 50% more hours than an IB program. And this is something that usually they don't really understand. They think, oh, Uzbekistan curriculum, it's not good, it's bad. Russia, post-Sovietskaya, post-Sovietski curriculum, balabatar. But they don't know that we study a lot of hours and we have a lot of courses, and, it's actually pretty challenging. And so I'm not saying that IB bad, IB isn't hard. IB is insanely hard. IB is probably harder than, Uzbek education. But what I'm saying is that we are not worse than IB. So even though that our classes aren't level, SL or HL or A-level classes, but they can be as competitive and as hard as any other curriculum. So you want to use this spot to sort of, explain your situation. You shouldn't be copying what I write. You should be explaining your personal situation, your specific situation, and adding context and showing the circumstances of what's going on. I have a lot of extra things that I wrote. These are just certain parts that I took. I wrote more. I wrote a lot more about my situation, things that were happening in my life. And you have to use this however you want. And just one way that you could be using it is, of course, explaining your curriculum, explaining Uzbekistan. Say, for example, something happened in your life and your grades dropped. Say, because you were someone died and you couldn't study for a while, and so your grades dropped. You can explain that there. You don't have to keep it a secret. And so you can really use this part to do whatever you want, to sort of cover up some flaws that you may have, or some things that they may misunderstand because of you. Because the person, anyways, you guys get the point. I'm yapping over here. And so just make sure that you use this writing section. Very, very important. So many people just say, no, I don't want to say anything extra. I don't want to provide details of my circumstances or qualifications. No, It's optional. That means do it. Explain. Convince them to accept you. Show that you're this kind of person, hardworking, who actually cares, who's actually trying. Do it. That's what I would recommend to you guys. Anyways, that's it. Okay. I think, yeah, that's it. We're kind of done here. I think I took about 2 hours of your time. Hopefully you remembered 50% of what I said. It should be about 8:30. So it's 12. I don't know. It's like 10 p.m. or like 10:30 for you guys. For us, it's 11:51. I missed a lot of my classes, but that's fine. You guys are worth it. Yeah, hopefully you guys enjoyed. We have some time for questions, I guess. If you guys want to ask questions, we can do that. I'll look through the chat. Also, here's my Instagram. I would like more followers, please. Please. More followers. Other than that, I think I have finished for today. Hopefully everybody enjoyed. If you guys want to contact me, go for that here. And I'll be back in Uzbekistan on the 17th. So I'm not going to stay here. So just hopefully we could have something in person, maybe. Just see. If you do want something in person, then, let Asadbek know. Hopefully you guys enjoyed. Everybody, enjoy your day. I'll be here to answer some questions.
Kommentariyada ba'zi questionlar bo'lsa, o'shalarga javob beramiz. Kommentariya qoldirsalaringiz bo'ladi. Shu paytgacha lekin javob berdik.
Asadbek, did you see any questions that you think I might need to answer?
There is one question. Should honors be only during high school?
Should honors be only during high school? Yeah. So it's like 8, 9, 10, 11 sinf. Maybe 7 sinf. Katta narsa bo'lgan bo'lsa. The thing is that like for honors, if it's something that happened 6 years ago, that's a completely different person. That's not even you. 6 yilda shuncha narsa o'zgarishi mumkin. And o'sha 6 yil ichida hech narsa bo'lmasa, that just shows that you haven't been doing anything. So you want to keep your your honors and extracurriculars inside of the high school range. If it's something really important, maybe, but having it outside of high school just shows that high school is not schematis. And so I definitely do that. Okay, I see some other questions. Are you going to introduce live student content to your Telegram blog? I have a Telegram blog and I'm not keeping up with it. I don't think I'll be posting in that anytime soon until I have like time. Maybe if I get the inspiration. But for now, my Telegram blog is dead.
There is one more question.
What's up?
Very first one is, did you see your admissions file?
Did I see my admissions file? No, they don't show it. Well, I think if you ask, you can, but they don't have any comments on there. They don't write comments anymore. There was like a really big scandal with admissions files, and I didn't even ask if I could see it. There's no use. Just forget about it.
Then the next one is, what are some experiences or topics that admission officers find very interesting, but for Uzbeks, it's something like falsely assume that it's insignificant or boring?
What do they find interesting? I'm not sure. Like, I haven't talked about what they find interesting in like the applications. I know that they really like reading the essays, even though there are a lot of them, especially if it's like Uzbekistan, because not a lot of people actually apply to universities from Uzbekistan. So whenever they read it, it's like pretty interesting to them. But I also think that essays are like, we know they're important. So there's nothing like really underrated, except the things that I talked about today, like the education section, additional writing, things like that. I don't think it's actually really basic. The applications have been going on for hundreds of years. It's almost a perfected thing at this point.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Anything else
So
that's good?
they're asking that difference between Dyson and Cornell Liberal Arts School.
Dyson Business,
Mm-hmm. And
College of
liberal.
Arts. No, at Cornell, there's arts and sciences. The main difference is Dyson has certain majors. So if you want to major in like business administration, you have to go to Dyson. If you want to major in applied mathematics, you have to go to the College of Arts and Sciences. It's essentially just like, what is your major? And every major has a specific college. Other than that, everybody's together. I hang out with a bunch of friends from other colleges. There's nothing other than that.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Is it okay if I write a motivational letter about meeting the president? Wow. I guess that would be a pretty good letter if you met the president.
Mm-hmm.
How did I realize I was a good fit for Cornell? Oh, I probably should have talked about this. I did it. Cornell offers full financial aid. So I'm like, ooh, full financial aid. Apply. I just want to study somewhere. There are a lot of other
Mm-hmm.
questions that like are easily Googleable, like what is a gap year?
Yes.
But like we're just gonna like try and see if we have like any interesting questions. If not, then I'll probably go. My day is just starting. Probably gonna play some, CS.
So Muhammad Ali is asking that he graduated ICM this year, but he indicated that he didn't take a gap year.
What's the question?
So I will send it. You can look at the last comment I will send it.
Do you think it will do any harm to my chances of getting accepted? There's going to be some questions. They're going to be like, wait, this person graduated, but what have they been doing? They're going to be suspicious. If your application is good, maybe it's not going to affect, but they're going to be confused a bit. And generally, it's a bad idea to confuse the admissions officers. Also, I have now a lot of people asking, can I get a recommendation letter from me? No, it's not good. I'm 19 years old. You don't want to get a recommendation letter from a 19-year-old. It's trust me on this one. It's not something. They're just not mature enough. You don't know the person well enough to actually like recommend them.
And another question is, if that person recently started doing extracurricular activity and has a very good vision, but that vision lacks to some extent action, right? Can they include talk about vision in extracurricular activity?
Sure. Like, you got to realize that the application is like trying to get to know who you are. So a lot of it is actually about your vision and like what you want to do. So if you don't have a lot of like things that you've done, that's fine. They're at the end of the day, your extracurriculars are all the past. So they don't really care that much. It's just to show what do you value, what do you care about as a person. So like adding things that you value is like completely fine.
Mm-hmm.
Anyways, I think we're done here.
Yeah, I think we're done. So
Who's next up? Tomorrow.
tomorrow,
Mm-hmm.
we have Georgetown tomorrow.
Ooh, cool. Anyways, thank you, Asadbek, for having me.
Thank you so much for agreeing on joining and like very dense presentation. I really liked it. I learned a lot from this presentation too. I was just looking and learning and watching it. I did enjoy, did enjoy. Thank you so much.
All right. I hope everybody else also got to learn a few new
Yeah.
things. See you guys later. Hopefully,
We're,
this won't be the last
we're
time
gonna
you guys
meet
see me.
you. We're gonna meet you in 70s and hopefully see you in person and do some other projects.
All right, inshallah.
Yeah.
See you
I'll
guys.
tell you
Bye.
that one. Bye for that. Have an amazing day. So bugungi sessionimizni ham tugatdik, xudo xohlasa. Hammaga kattakon rahmat. Juda zo'r session bo'ldi deb o'ylayman. Nimaga? Chunki o'zim o'rganganlarim ham juda ko'p bo'ldi. Boshidan oxirigacha eshitib o'tirdim. Sizlar uchun qanaqa bo'ldi? Xudo xohlasa yaxshi bo'lgan bo'lsa kerak. Savollaringizda ko'pchilik qolib ketdi, lekin o'sha savollarga men chestni aytadigan bo'lsam, mana shu kommentariyadagilar o'zi ham javob berib qo'yadi savollarga bemalol. O'shaning uchun so'raversangiz bo'ladi mana shu yerdan. Noteslarni tashlayman, noteslar olib qo'ydim o'zim uchun. O'shalarni tashlab yuboraman. Faqat private channelga tashlayman uni. Chunki bu session faqat Firdavsni request bilan public bo'ldi. O'shaning uchun private channelga tashlayman. O'sha yerda kutib tursalar, tahlab chiroyli qilib PDF qilib tashlab yuboraman. Xo'p, undan oldin an'anamizga sodiq qolgan qoldi. Ertagalik mehmonni guest qilamiz. Men Firdavs so'raganda ozgina aytib qo'ydim kimligini. Lekin baribir o'zlarini topishlari kerak. Kim deb o'ylaysizlar? Ertaga Qatarda mehmon bo'lamiz. Georgetown, Qatar. Yo, Go'zal Haydarovani hali ancha kutasizlarmi deyman. Go'zalxonni ozgina kutasizlar hali. Yaxshi insonlar lekin oldimizda yaxshi insonlar bor, ko'p. Hammalari zo'r, hammasi zo'r. Hammasi o'ziga yarasha, hammasi o'zini gapiradigan gap juda ko'p. Da. Ertaga Georgetownda уже 4 ancha narsani o'tib qo'ygan, admissions, application bo'yicha qaldirg'ochlardan bittadan bo'ladi. Boshidan beri bir o'zlar harakat qilib Georgetownga kirganlar. Ertaga Nur Muhammad aka bilan gaplashamiz. Nur Muhammad aka bilan ertaga Georgetown Qatar haqida gaplashamiz. Qanaqa qilib o'qishga kirgan, qanaqa qilib o'qiyapti, hozir Amerikada semestr o'qiyaptilar. Qaytib kelgan bo'lishlari ham mumkin. Lekin oxirgi vaqtlarda Amerikada semestr o'qiyotgandilar. O'shanga Amerikadagi eksperiyenslar haqida ham gaplashamiz. Xudo xohlasa ertaga hammalaringizni yana kutamiz. Bugun yaxshi dam olinglar. Hammaga xayrli kech, xayrli tun. Uydagilarga salom qo'yinglar. Hammaga rahmat qo'shilganlaringiz uchun. Juda zo'r bo'ldi bugungi miting. Ko'rishguncha. Note private channelga tashlab yuboraman.